Athletes from the Caribbean finally took to the ice 6 days after the start of the Winter Olympics in Beijing. And on Monday, the two-man bobsleigh teams from Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica completed their training runs. The Jamaicans placed fourth in their run in Heat 1 with a time of 1 minute 01.18 seconds. TNT finished 11th in Heat 2 with a time of 1 minute 01.63 seconds. Now, the lone Jamaican woman, Jasmine Victorian, finished her monobob training session in a time of 1 minute 06.45 seconds. Training continues for both events on Friday and Saturday, with the heats for the women's monobob set to start on Sunday. Mariah, you've been on the Winter Prime morning edition, and you would have seen, I'm sure, footage of what our Caribbean athletes did at the Winter Olympics earlier, well, a few hours ago. Talk to us about Fenita Victorian first.
Yeah, well, you know, we've been following them very closely. Jasmine is somebody that I actually had tipped to do very well, George. I will not say that, you know, I'm not going to bank on training to judge what we're actually going to see in the events. I hope that it's just them. I can't say warming up, icing up.
There you go,
Just icing up for the major event. And, you know, Jazz is somebody, because she's competed so many times before, I want to say, George and Lance, that she's senior, she's done it before, so she should have a better go, a better chance. It didn't go really well for her today in training. She finished at the back of the pile. But again, I'm not judging what I saw in training. I'm not going to say that this is what is going to happen on competition day.
Yeah. And for the men?
Well, I'm happy to see Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica competing. Best of both worlds for me. So either way it goes, I'll be very, very happy. Jamaica doing really well. You know, we've kept in contact. I've kept in contact with Axel Brown from Trinidad. I talked to Rolando Reed and they from time to time. So all I know is they're very happy, and the Jamaican athletes, yes, cool runnings is cool, but they actually want to place, you know, they want to create history, and more so based on their performance. So I'm looking forward, rooting for them. I can't wait till we get to talk about the Caribbean athletes on Winter Prime.
Yeah, Lance, the Caribbean finds itself in a rather curious position. Usually, when our athletes line up at the Olympics, we're expecting medals and personal bests and competitive performances. The truth be told, that at the Winter Games, the narrative is markedly different. And so we must make do and accept persons doing their best, persons executing technically well, and persons doing enough to inspire the next wave of Winter Olympians from this part of the world, so that the future can advance to a stage where medals are a realistic pursuit.
Yeah, well, that's where it's at, George. You hit the nail on the head, because when we spoke with Axel Brown from Trinidad and Tobago a couple of weeks ago on the show, if my memory serves me well, I think he said finishing in the top 20 would be good enough for them, because they recognize that they cannot be among the top flight given where they are and the overall quality of their team. I suspect that the Jamaican situation is also similar. And because of the COVID-19 pandemic, places like Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago in many instances would have been set back a little bit more in their preparation than some of the other, top flight Winter Olympics competitors from like Europe and so on. So good to see them competing, but obviously they'll have to lower their expectations because of the quality and the experience of the opposition that they're facing.
Yeah, and do you think, do you get the sense, I'll ask both of you the question, do you think that for the number of times Jamaica has been at the Winter Olympics since 1988, they only missed out in 2006 in Turin, and the fact that Trinidad and Tobago, of course, this is not their first go-around at the Winter Games, that the period of time when black athletes were at the Winter Olympics and there was a strong novelty factor around black athletes, do you think enough has been done by those who've gone before to change the narrative of the novelty factor around black athletes, and they're at the point now where persons are looking at them as competitors who can get to the point where they're being seriously looked at when competition is on the way?
No, I think more should be done. And the only way, George, that you can get respect in a certain sport is when you dominate, when you go in and you win the medals. So I'm happy, and I'm very, very happy and pleased to see us being represented. I know we got the recognition from the Cools runnings, film and everything, but I will say that only when you become a Lewis Hamilton, when you start to dominate, you know, you keep bringing up medals after medals, then people start to look your direction. I think competing is not only enough, and they have to medal in order to get utmost respect.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, novelty is a good word that you used, because that is what, you know, Caribbean representation at the Winter Olympics had meant to the world initially. And I'm pretty certain, to answer the question directly, that there hasn't been the level of investment into Caribbean performances at the Winter Olympics to give you the kind of results that would propel them to top flight performances. And having said that, we know that the Caribbean is not awash with funds, and governments and sports administrators and potential sponsors of sport will obviously focus more on the Summer Olympics, because that is where the Caribbean is more potent. So in a way, I think it's understandable that the level of investment required to push Caribbean teams to top flight performances in the Winter Olympics has not been forthcoming. It is understandable, but if it's something that we are committed to, and we are, you know, constantly trying to get to Winter Olympics, a way must be found to get more investment and more funding so that the teams can prepare better.
Yes, indeed. All right, that's it for that segment. Let's take a break. Back with more of the SportsMax Zone.